How you doing, everybody? This is ShoTTA here, going to do a review on a game called Don't Starve. This is an indie game that has been released for the PlayStation 4. It has been on PC, so I think a lot of people have tried this game, but for those players who are just new to it and have downloaded on PlayStation 4, it's free indie game that we get to play. So I wanted to try it out, kind of get an idea of what this game is about, and at first glance it looked really cool and I thought it would be an interesting game to play. So here you're going to get the intro of the game where you see the scientist. He's kind of trying to mix these chemicals together and get an idea of how to create some concoction that he's trying to create here, when all of a sudden he gets this message through his radio, and it tells him to build this time machine. So he tries to build this time machine, and you're gonna see here that he's kind of happy that he gets this message. So he sits back, he tries to build this time machine, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on what happens when he tries to build this time machine. So the player assumes the role of a gentleman scientist by the name of Wilson, who is trying to make some sort of scientific advancement by pouring a liquid into a dish of powder, but without success, it explodes in his face. He sits down in a chair, tired of being unable to do anything right. Suddenly, Wilson's radio set begins to speaking to him, and tells him he may learn forbidden knowledge to help him succeed in developing something that works. Wilson accepts, only to realize that the owner of the voice has tricked him. It belongs to a demon of sorts named Maxwell, who uses the machine to transport Wilson against his will to a mysterious land where it seems everything is trying to kill the gentleman scientist. Here is where the player has control of Wilson and aims to survive in a dangerous world. So that's the kind of breakdown of the beginning of the game, and you get an idea of what happens and what you're going to have to do. And hence the title Don't Starve. So you're stuck in this world where you've been transported to, and you have nothing, no food, no tools, no anything, and you've got to figure out how to survive, and you go day by day. Now, to give you a little bit more background about the game's goal is to survive for as long as you can while avoiding starvation, insanity, and hostile enemies. The player can collect and craft a variety of tools and items, as well as build various structures to aid in survival. An adventure mode is also included in the game, accessible while playing in a sandbox mode by finding doorway that leads to adventure challenges, which presents increasingly difficult levels for the player to complete. When the character dies, an amount of experience is received proportional to the number of days survived, eventually unlocking other characters to use in future games, in addition to the standard gentleman scientist Wilson. Each has his or own perks. Some characters are only unlocked in adventure mode, unattainable by gaining experience through survival. So it kind of gives you an idea of the game and what I think about the game here. I'm going to give you an example of what I was doing in the beginning of the game. I was kind of just going around, kind of trying to figure out my bearings, what it is I need to do. And as I started off, I realized that I'm going to start picking up items because I would see that they'd come in handy and I would need to do something with them. So I pick up a lot of grass, twigs, things like that. And as you look through your items list, you can kind of see what you'll need to build each tool that you'll need. And the most important things you're going to need really off the beginning, especially on day one, you're going to need food, obviously, and you're going to need fire, because sooner or later it's going to get dark. And first time it got dark, I really didn't know what to do, and when it gets dark in this game, the screen completely goes black. So you really need to build fire and make fire, because when it goes dark, that's it, you can't see anything, and that's when I think some kind of creatures come out and you instantly die. Something's in the dark and it gets you. So make sure that you really gather a lot of grass, twigs, so you can either have a torch or try to find the items to build an axe so that you can build a campfire. And when you do build a campfire, it's a lot wider the space of the fire, so it's kind of better than a torch. Torches will run out a little bit quicker and you'll have to use more items, whereas campfires are a lot better. Secondly, make sure that you build traps, because you will need to eat and you will need food, so you can build a lot of traps. There's this, in the beginning of the game where you start the area, there is a lot of rabbit holes, and you can kind of plant your traps all around these rabbit holes and you'll gather a lot of food. Also, when you're going around bushes, you may get lucky and run into a turkey, and you're gonna have an example of that where I'm chasing around the turkey trying to catch him, which is pretty funny. Overall, my impressions of the game, I really do like it. I thought it was pretty cool, the concept of it. I do love these indie games. They're pretty simple. I mean, at heart, I'm a Battlefield player, FPS games. I love first-person shooters. But every once in a while, it's nice to step back and play one of these games just because they're simple. They work great. Not a lot of bugs or glitches in these games that you need to worry or stress about or get upset about. You just play, enjoy yourself, and kind of enjoy the simple parts of the game. It brings you back to games like Mario Brothers and things like that, where we just played the game for fun. And that's why I really love the indie game scene. It's really got that fun aspect down, and I think a lot of players will find that in this game. Now, this game can be very addictive because you're constantly trying ways to survive and make it to the next day, which is kind of cool and can be kind of frustrating at times. It can be very frustrating if you're having trouble finding food or building a fire or things like that. So make it your point to stock up on your items. It is very important. Now, I've got to about 2 weeks, and this gameplay is only about 3 days. I was gonna put pieces of each game of the gameplay, but I thought I would make the video just to kind of give everyone an idea. I know a lot of people are new to this game on PS4, and this way you can kind of get an idea what it looks like and what the game is about. Now I'm gonna go into the game a little bit more, give you an idea of what other things happen in the game. And as you can see, here I am. I've built an axe. I've built a pick, and I'm chopping down trees so that I can make firewood, make a campfire, etc. I built a pick because what you do with that is you can mine rocks, or you can mine different minerals. You can get gold and things like that, and which you'll use later on in the game. In the beginning of the game, there are a few items that you might not use, so be careful what you pick up because you may not use it at all, and it just takes up space. And your item slot in the bottom is very limited, so you want to make sure that you pick up the things that are important and leave the things that are not important, or else you'll be running out of space, and then you'll be deciding what you should keep and what you should throw away. So it's very important. Now here's one of the night scenes I was talking about, and you can see how dark it is right now, that campfire, and gradually the fire will go down. So you can use things like acorns off trees. Like you saw, I picked up the acorn shells when I chopped down the trees, and I throw those in the fire. Flowers to keep the fire going. You don't have to constantly build another fire as it goes down. You can use these as kind of flammable stuff to throw in the fire and just kind of keep it bigger. There's one point in the game later on which I don't have in this gameplay, and you can kind of see the eyes in the background in the dark, like things watching you. So I thought that was a pretty cool addition, and made the game have that kind of eerie kind of feeling at night. So there you can see I've thrown a couple acorns in the fire, and you see the fire getting bigger and bigger. So once again it's day again, so I'm going to kind of go around. I think it's just it's starting to get brighter now. Yeah, there we go, daytime. So I'm gonna go around here, and I'm gonna go back out, looking for different things that I can use. Maybe chop down some more trees, so make sure I have lots of firewood, because it's very important. Like I mentioned, when it gets dark and you don't have fire, you will instantly die out in the dark. Now, as you gradually go further and further on the map, you'll run into different and more difficult enemies, spiders and all these other different enemies. So the further you go, the more difficult it gets. So make sure that you stock up on all of your items. You will really need them later on in the game. It is very important that you stock up on all of your items that you need, including firewood, especially food. Later on you can build even clothing, helmets. You can start building protective areas for yourself. You can build like a kind of room, like a calm room. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it like calms you down, when you start to worry too much. And you've got your different icons in the top right corner, and you got your your food, your how you're feeling, and different things like that. Also, it tells you the time of day and when it's starting to get darker, so you know how much time you have to go out and hunt and do what you got to do before it starts to get darker. So here's the example of me chasing the turkey. Now this was pretty funny because I had to chase this thing down. What I found is when I'm chasing them, I kind of chase them in the direction of the water to the edge of the map so that they have nowhere to run, and then as you can see, I get the turkey and I'm good to go. So what I do with my food, I like to I cook everything that I find. I find that it gives you a little bit more health and just makes more sense to actually cook it. It is a game and everything, but I think it would be a lot better cooked. So I found that to be pretty funny, and like little things like that make this game really cool. You cook everything. So I thought that was a good addition and pretty cool there. So just make sure when you're playing, take your time to move out. Gather everything that you need, stock up, find a good area, make a lot of traps, and by doing it that way, you won't be as frustrated as if you just kind of run out in the wild and think that you're going to survive and you go into the wrong areas, because some areas will not have the items you need to survive and you will instantly die, and then you'll just get frustrated with the game. So try to kind of build around an area, your traps, everything you need, and then move out. So I hope you enjoyed this commentary on Don't Starve. Thank you for watching, and remember, don't starve, everybody. Stack up on the things you need. Peace out.